We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. A playground for some. For others, it's where they make their living. But the sea's unpredictable.
The sea is a scary place. It's an unforgiving place.
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of over 5,000 ordinary people, ready to leave their jobs, their families, and race to our rescue.
When that pager goes off, it's like that.
There they are! There they are!
You are somebody's last hope.
He's gone under!
I have never felt so much admiration. Marvel heroes don't come anywhere near.
Equipped with their own cameras.
Am I recording? Yep.
The crews give us a unique insight into every call-out, as only they see it.
Gonna get you home, all right?
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
There's no better feeling than knowing that you've brought someone's loved one home safely.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
Hold on!
Developed extensively by the Victorians, the Sussex town of Eastbourne is now a tranquil seaside community.
People often ask, what sort of place is Eastbourne? Interesting. We get the mickey taken out of us all the time. Eastbourne's an old people's town. You know, they do say that, but it's actually a really nice place to come and visit. You've got the beaches, you've got the promenades, you've got the downs that circle round Eastbourne.
One of the biggest draws of the area is the 530-foot high cliff at Beachy Head.
Beachy Head is a stunning part of the town, and people come from far and wide to come and see it. It's a beautiful chalk cliff, one of the biggest in the country and in the world for that matter.
We do get called up to the Beachy Head area on a very regular basis. People cut off by the tide. Base jumpers, sometimes they get injured, sometimes they get cut off by the tide.
Base jumpers launch themselves off high buildings and cliffs, parachuting to the ground. It's a high-risk sport, which should only be undertaken by experienced parachutists.
It's quite a well-known spot for base jumpers around here. When the conditions are right, you do get quite a few that come down and do their thing. They're very organised, and they usually inform the Coast Guard when they're going to perform the jumps, etc.
Personally, I think they're mad, but if it's their thing, then yeah, why not?
I do understand why people would base jump from Beachy Head. I probably wouldn't do it. I personally like tennis.
Early April, a fresh day with light winds. The local Coast Guard receives a series of 999 calls from Beachy Head.
The pager went off, I think, mid-morning.
There's been a base jumper, and he has come some mischief.
The casualty, a 50-year-old man, is reported to be seriously injured.
When we found out he was at the bottom of the cliff, you automatically realised the severity of the situation.
Eastbourne has 2 lifeboat stations, one in the harbour for its all-weather Tamar, and one on the beach for its D-class.
And bow line, please.
Both boats are launched immediately. A Coast Guard rescue helicopter has also been scrambled.
We sort of have like a golden hour, so you want to be getting this guy to hospital in that hour. So you're trying to get there as fast as you can.
Mark is the coxswain of the station's Tamar class, which will remain just offshore with additional crew and medical supplies.
All sorts of things go through your mind. You've got to think, how serious is the injury?
Me and Tom were both sort of going through the scenarios. Any fall from that sort of high, you're looking at catastrophic injuries, really.
Rescue 160, we've placed our paramedic on the beach and he is attending the cases now. They're up a slight bank of shingle.
The Coast Guard helicopter has already landed a winchman on the beach. But when the D-class arrives on scene, it's almost low water. So the chalk reef just off Beachy Head is dangerously exposed. The crew cannot afford to damage their boat or engine on the way in.
I've got a submerged one just off your port bow.
We had to navigate through quite difficult terrain around a Beachy Head. There's a lot of submerged rocks.
Once ashore, Tom and Aaron rush their medical kit to the scene across the rough, rocky terrain. The casualty has been joined by his fellow base jumpers, and the Coast Guard paramedic has begun to administer the gas and air painkiller Entonox.
He was in a lot of pain, but we were really surprised to see him conscious.
Did any of you witness this then? Okay. And from your perspective, what happened?
He jumped, avoided his parachute turned towards the cliff.
Right.
Cliff several times, slid towards the end,
Yeah.
came to rest here.
Gotcha.
The casualty has seriously injured his lower left leg.
Keep sucking on that Entonox.
To fully assess his wounds, the Coast Guard paramedic needs to cut off his boot.
Nice deep breaths on that Entonox.
I could see that his leg was misshaped. Clearly something was wrong with his lower part of his ankle.
Okay, how you doing pain score, Rob?
I'd say it's back to 10.
When we removed his boot, we realised that his foot was just hanging on, really.
He's done a good job.
The casualty has broken his ankle and both bones in his lower left leg. One of them has ruptured through the skin.
Doing a great job there, thank you.
This type of injury carries a high chance of infection. If the blood flow to the foot is restricted, there's a real risk it might need to be amputated.
Okay, I need oxygen as well now. Tell me if that's all working now, that pain relief.
Yes.
The lifeboat crew can't risk stretchering the casualty across the rocks. So the plan is to do initial medical treatment here and then air medevac him to hospital.
Okay, on three. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
They need to place his leg in a vacuum splint to provide support. But first, they must cut away his sock and extend the broken section of his ankle to ensure the blood supply to the foot is maintained.
Hang in there, buddy. Doing well.
Seeing his ankle and quite a large bone protruding out was quite shocking.
All the blood flow's coming from that position there, so we had to sort of get it in some sort of comfortable position, but also to sort of stem the blood a little bit.
There you go. That's it. I'll connect those two and keep up, mate.
Good job, Rob.
Well done, Rob.
No amount of pain relief would be able to take the level of pain away from him.
Okay.
Yep.
He was clearly visibly in a state of excruciating pain.
I need it to go higher.
Higher, up in his leg.
So I'm going to lift the leg.
Yeah.
I'm going to lift it up.
Yeah.
And away you go.
Keep up, mate.
That's it.
That's it. Well done. Well done.
Okay.
We've moved it now, buddy.
Good job, Rob. Is he on the oxygen?
Yeah, he's on
Good
it.
job, Rob. You're doing well.
That's the worst over, Rob, all right? Well done.
I've never felt pain like it. I mean, I've broken a lot of bones in the past, but yeah, I've not felt anything like this. It was incredible.
Rob and his circle of base jumpers had been keen to get in the air again after a long period of lockdown.
We'd finally got some good weather after months and months of the terrible winter. Everyone was absolutely stoked on that day. You know, everyone was buzzing to be jumping. I'd jumped it a few times. Every time, everything had gone perfect, and I had no reason to have any worries about the jump. Obviously, I now realise I should have. As soon as we got there and I got my gear out, the first jumper went. As soon as that happened, I thought, oh, OK, here we go. You know, it's on. Let's get it done. I just did a quick gear check without thinking through the jump first, without visualising the jump, you know, without sort of making sure I'd got the plan A and plan B and plan C in my head already. I just didn't think about anything.
3, 2, 1, see ya.
Basically threw myself off the cliff. When you're falling, time goes slow. It's an amazing feeling that you get for those couple of seconds. But I got into a bad body position. A slightly dropped shoulder on one side is enough to make the canopy turn when it opens. It turned, and it turned the full 180, and it turned really fast. And obviously, as the canopy span, I span underneath it. I couldn't figure out which was the right lines to pull. There was nothing I could do to stop me hitting the cliff. Put my legs out to protect me. It just broke my leg instantly. It spanned me round, but it spanned me round another 360, and I hit the cliff again, and then bounced off the cliff another couple of times on the way down. Finally hit the ground. Initially, yeah, I was happy just to be conscious and alive. I actually thought I'd completely got away with it without injury. Obviously, that didn't last very long. The wave, the tsunami of pain hit me.
Cool up, cool up. Cool in. Cool in.
The base jumpers who had just landed on the beach rushed to Rob's assistance.
I tried to get up and kind of roll over, and as I rolled over, my foot didn't. It stayed where it was. So at that point, I knew it was detached from the rest of my leg.
Oh, Jesus! Cool in!
More jumpers at the top of the cliff flew in to try and help Rob.
Stay still, mate, stay still. Stay still. Mate,
I'm getting signal. They better have called that.
They would have called from on top.
With no phone signal at the base of the cliffs, all they could do was hope that help would soon be on its way.
It's just a question of waiting, Rob.
It's just that the legs is hanging.
How about your lower back?
Bring up his canopy,
It's the tib and fib, and they've come out. At that point, I was kind of reconciling myself to losing my leg.
They'll fly in, they'll land, and they'll come and fetch you.
They could never get me out of there fast enough for my liking.
With Rob now fully prepped for the airlift, the Coast Guard helicopter was called in from where it had been waiting nearby. Rob was rushed to the Royal Sussex County Hospital in Brighton, 15 miles away.
I remember just before going into surgery, the surgeon told me there was a 50-50 chance of losing the foot.
Oscar, Rescue 163.
I do feel lucky to be alive, definitely. And yeah, I feel lucky to have got away with the injuries that I got away with, I think.
Cheers, lads.
That's all right. That was a nasty, nasty break.
Right up there if there was a body up there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It is one of the worst injuries that I've come across on a shout. Yeah, it sort of sticks with me, this one.
I can't reiterate how proud I am of the crew that were ashore. They all dealt with it really, really well, humanely and professionally, and I'm really proud of them.
The shout did feel like a job well done. We set out to help him, and I feel like we did do that.
The Casualty was very, very lucky. He is lucky to be alive, and I think he knows that.
It's never our place to make judgment. We will always be there for anyone who needs us.
Definitely won't be base jumping. I was worrying the next day at work climbing 20 foot in a tree, let alone jumping off 500-foot cliff with a parachute.
I admire them for having the guts to do it, but no, I can definitely confirm to you that I will not be doing any base jumping.
Last year, around the UK and Ireland, the lifeboats were launched over 8,200 times.
What are you doing out here? Having a paddle?
No two shouts are the same, and the crews must prepare for all eventualities.
Hello, Dylan.
You deal with some strange and wonderful and scary situations.
Just going down.
In terms of unusual shouts, when the pager goes off, we never really know what to expect. So the thing that I always try and do when I'm heading down to the station is expect the unexpected.
That is really weird.
Just informing vessels going around in circles.
My very first shout, we got all the way up Southampton Water to find out it was a scarecrow floating face down in the water.
We're just trying to get our duck off our fishing line.
Right, just let the duck go.
I'm not sure what my most memorable shout is. I had a shout to an injured swan once.
Look at that!
There are moments on the boat where You almost look around going, the heck did that just happen? It's a blink of an eye. Lifeboats have a strange place in the space-time continuum for sure.
The sea will always surprise me. It will continue to surprise everybody. You can have all the experience in the world, but something will always crop up.
Right, we're going to get you into the stretcher now, Becky, OK?
And the professionalism comes out when you're able to deal with that.
No, don't worry. The thought of having every shout being the same would be mind-numbingly boring. I think that's part of the appeal, is when the pager goes off, you really have no idea what it could be.
Nestled in the Scottish Highlands, in the Great Glen, is one of the UK's most famous stretches of water, Loch Ness. 23 miles long and nearly 800 feet deep in places, it's the largest body of fresh water in Great Britain.
This part of the world's amazing, really. It's spectacular. It's not a bad place to live and work.
Loch Ness is one of the RNLI's 5 inland lifeboat stations.
The best view of the loch is from the middle of the loch. Go out to the middle and look right down it. Some of the best views ever. There's absolutely everything happens on the loch. Kayakers, pleasure boats that can take you out for sightseeing. There's sailing, people trying to swim across it. Absolutely everything.
Loch Ness may attract hundreds of thousands of visitors a year, but its waters are almost twice as cold as the seas around Scotland. Volunteer crew member Neil builds and maintains a series of hydroelectric projects in the highlands that surround the loch, so knows what's maintaining these chilly temperatures.
Cold of the water is one of the main things that people underestimate about the loch. This water, which feeds Loch Ness, comes from on top of the hills and from snowmelt. It's very, very cold when it comes down into the loch. Temperatures below the surface between 6 and 8 degrees, whereas the sea can be, 10 to 15, 16 degrees. One of the characteristics of Loch Ness is the water is very dark. The reason is because of the peat in the water. The peat comes from the land around us. It's washed down by the rain into the rivers and then down into the loch. So you can actually see the colour of the water. It's not clear, it's very slightly brown. And the higher the flow is in the river, the water will go almost completely black.
As well as being dark and extremely cold, these waters are also unpredictable.
The loch can be very dangerous. Waves can pick up very quickly, and they can be very big waves. The conditions can change in a second.
It's particularly rocky and steep-sided pretty much everywhere, and so to water users, if it does go wrong, pretty inhospitable.
It's a vast, formidable beast, and yeah, you have to have your wits about you at the end of the day.
Mid-October.
Oh, wow. The wave? Yeah.
There's an unusual visitor to Loch Ness, and many of the lifeboat crew and their families have come to the loch's shore to catch a glimpse.
Our plans for that day were to go and see the Catalina seaplane flying in the loch. You don't see them very often.
What is this super plane? That torso with a middle-aged sag? Her speed less than some cars can do. The old Cat, Navy Catalina patrol boat.
In the Second World War, the Catalina seaplane was deployed around the globe as part of the US Navy's fleet. These planes also played a vital role in the British war effort, both in protecting the North Atlantic convoys from U-boat attacks and in reconnaissance. In May 1941, while on patrol from its RAF base on Loch in Northern Ireland, a Catalina spotted the German battleship Bismarck sailing to France. It was attacked and sunk the following day. Only 15 of these seaplanes are currently airworthy. One of those, named Miss Pickup, has been lovingly brought back to life by a group of aviation enthusiasts. Fully restored Catalinas can have a market value of up to £3 million.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to see the plane, circling round.
It had been over the house quite a few times, up and down and around and around.
The crew had swapped a few videos of the seaplane over group messages.
We said,
What if we had to deal with that aircraft? How would that be? What would we do?
Someone had even suggested, how would you go about towing something like that, you know, and I didn't give it any thought because I just thought it seemed too ridiculous.
Later that afternoon, Loch Ness Lifeboat station is paged.
When I got to the station, I jumped out of the van and I said to Joanna, "What have we got?" She says, "The plane." I says, "No, what really?" "No, the plane." I says, No, what were we actually going to?" "The plane." So I went, "Oh, I'll go get kitted up."
Everybody's reaction was mainly just surprise, really.
Right, I've got the radio. Had it crashed? Was it on fire? Had it broken down? Wondering what on earth was going on with it, because I'd seen it an hour before flying over my head.
After landing on the Loch, one of the Catalina's engines has suffered a mechanical fault.
Is this real life?
Unable to take off again, it's drifting towards a rocky stretch of shoreline with a crew of 4 on board.
Funnily enough, our training doesn't involve any planes or the like. It seems so surreal.
The Seaplane is adrift about a mile away from the lifeboat station. 5 minutes after launching their Atlantic class, the crew arrive on scene. And the scale of the task ahead of them quickly becomes apparent.
I was going across the loch and the plane looked to treble in size.
What a thing. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was actually overwhelming.
The Seaplane has a 100-foot wingspan, and when it's in the water, there's only 8 feet of clearance beneath them. A local vessel has already attempted to connect a tow line without success.
Have you got a rope on him just now?
No, we broke a window when we went out to try and do it.
Okay.
We're too big, but he wants to over there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Made from lightweight aluminium and with no keel to counteract the wind, the Catalina acts like a giant sail, even in a light breeze like today.
So when we got there, the plane was just picking up quite a bit of wind, so it was just blowing quite fast, hovering across the loch towards the rocks on the far side.
They'd already drifted maybe half a mile or so. If it were to come in contact with the rocks, you know, even in relatively calm conditions, it could puncture the hull. The aircraft could then sink.
With darkness now fast approaching, the lifeboat crew need to attach a tow line as quickly as possible.
Night was coming, so we kind of had to deal with it then and there.
But towing a seaplane this size is a highly technical procedure.
You've got to watch the superstructure. Yes, I noticed with the height, yeah. You can't go under the wing, you can't go under the tail with that. Okay. We already had the blister smashed, unfortunately. Yeah, I heard, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll keep clear of everything.
We'd never established a tow on a plane or anything that big and awkward either.
And we're going to aim to keep away from his tail. That's the eye we're trying to get to.
The only place to safely secure a tow line is a small D-ring located underneath the rear of the plane's fuselage.
The boat underneath. Which eye? The one on the one right under the tail there. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's drifting fast, look.
But manoeuvring the 25-foot-long 1.8-ton Atlantic class in close to a rare and expensive seaplane is a daunting prospect.
The aircraft itself, not only underwater, but in general, is relatively delicate.
Just try and nose up real gentle, because we don't want to bust the plane, you know? Full line. Yeah, just get it through. Get it through.
Not only is the seaplane's thin aluminium hull easily damaged, the communications tower at the stern of the lifeboat is the exact same height as the wings.
You have to sneak the boat in underneath the tailplane, keeping all your antennas and radar and everything outside of that, because otherwise you'll hit the aircraft. So you have a very short, quick window to get your tow onto the towing eye on the back of the aircraft and tie it very quickly.
While the helm brings the lifeboat in as cautiously as he can, David readies himself with the tow line at the bow.
It was a very bizarre situation for us all. We're trying to be as delicate as we can, but you know, being out in a boat, trying to do these very precise procedures is a lot easier said than done.
After 3 attempts, David finally manages to secure the tow.
Okay, nice. Give him more line. That's it, yeah, as much as you want. Flack. Yep, go on, you good.
Aberdeen Coast Guard, lock this lifeboat. We are about to take up some slack and see what happens.
Let's just see how she goes. Not going to manoeuvre very well, is it?
Now the crew have to work out how to tow a 15-ton seaplane tail first over a mile back to shore.
Absolutely surreal to be towing a plane from our lifeboat on Loch Ness. In fact, you're almost waiting for the monster to pop up and, you know, just complete the picture.
I'd rather be slow than fast, you know, not be the helm that's known for totaling a historic aircraft.
Not only was it unusual in that you were towing a plane, you were also towing it backwards, which kind of felt a bit odd.
It seems to sort of sway around a bit. It depends a lot on which float is touching the water as well.
Every time the wind caught the plane in the wrong way, then the plane would start to spin round. Going to port, our port.
Oh, for God's sake.
If you stop, it doesn't. It moves so easily across the water. You have to be very conscious of it catching you up.
Yes, it was stressful, and, you know, we're towing something that's got a wingspan that's 9-10 times the length of our boat. That's why we had to set up such a long tow, for us to be safe.
After nearly 3 hours, the crew bring the seaplane to a sheltered stretch of water near the shore. But the light is fading fast, and they now need to attach the plane to a mooring buoy big enough to anchor it securely.
We need to get him sorted before it gets dark, otherwise you're not going to be able to see what they're doing, see what he can do.
Loch Ness gets particularly dark. The loch itself is black. There's not a lot of light pollution around. There's very few buildings, so there's just literally goes completely black. So yeah, super dark.
It goes super slow, because they'll just run us over. And that's where it gets expensive.
Do you want to do it, David?
Yep. Drifting a bit wide, maybe.
Right, we'll level with it now.
Finally, the seaplane is securely tied to the buoy.
Clear.
But the crew must now detach their tow line from the seaplane. This means edging the lifeboat under its tail once again, but this time with only torchlight to guide them in.
We've all been out training in the dark before, but carrying out such an unusual procedure is totally new to us. No second chances here, guys.
Reach over and get it. What's that? Right.
We've got
what is going on? It's done a full 180 there, look.
Disorientating.
And you've got the hazard of the high wing and stuff, which is even worse in the dark because you can't see it. The possibility of getting trapped underneath the aircraft.
What's the bow? What's the bow fleet? What's the bow fleet? Push off. You want to tap the bottom of the fleet right. Okay, you guys good there?
I'd say that's the spiciest shout I've done. Unusual.
Adjustable.
After nearly 4 hours, this rare Second World War seaplane and its crew are out of danger.
They were pretty visibly relieved. For them, it was, you know, almost a member of the family.
You did good. So far.
Yeah.
It was a job well done, yeah. Especially when we found out the price tag of the plane. Yeah, definitely.
There was definitely part of me that was quite honoured to have been involved. You know, I grew up making little Airfix models of planes, so it was great to be able to see a World War II aircraft in such close quarters.
I was expecting a long night, were you? Nothing better to do.
It definitely ranks there as being one of the most difficult tows I've done. It's quite a good feeling to think, okay, that's a totally different challenge to what we've had before, but between our training and ourselves, we've managed.
Nearly 500 miles away on the south coast of England is the busy port town of Newhaven. There's been a lifeboat here for nearly 220 years. The current crew has a 7 class, the largest boat in the fleet, and the station even has its own 4-legged crew member.
This is Oscar.
Official.
This is the official Newhaven lifeboat
Newhaven
dog.
station mascot. He does like going down onto the pontoon, but he's not so hot about coming back up. Someone's got the task of lifting him up. He's quite heavy. We love him, but you know, Yeah.
Alex and Katie joined up 3 years ago. When on the lifeboat, they take the role of navigators, so know the local waters well.
We're in the middle here in Newhaven. To our west, we've got Brighton and this marina here, and just off the chart, you've got Eastbourne. That's our sort of large area there.
We get a lot of jobs that are around the cliffs, cut off by the tide, people who are injured.
We really need to know when high and low water is, otherwise you can really find yourself getting caught out.
Not only are Alex and Katie a couple, they both work in the ambulance service.
This was a sort of a bit of a busman's holiday joining the lifeboat. We should have done something like flower pressing or something relaxing.
Yeah.
Mid-May, just before dawn, Newhaven receive an emergency call from the Coast Guard.
I was asleep before my pager went off. So, you know, when it did, I think it was 4:57 in the morning. You do think, you know, what's it going to be? Because at that time of the day, it's got to be something different.
A man is reported to be seriously ill on a large sailing ship 15 nautical miles southwest of Newhaven.
Got to the station, saw our launch authority jogging down the towpath towards the station and thought, oh, if the management are running, it must be important.
She turned around and said to me, oh, it's a medical evacuation and there's resuscitation in progress. I've been to a lot of resuscitations and know how timely response is really crucial. The boat they were on was about 15 miles out, so I'm now thinking,
Even if the crew can push the 7 class to its top speed of 25 knots, this journey will still take at least 30 minutes.
This isn't good. I thought we need a miracle for this.
A medic on board the sailing ship has informed the Coast Guard that the casualty is diabetic and has had a seizure. They're still performing resuscitation on him.
Every second that the blood isn't pumping around, the oxygen's not going to their brain, to their organs, and, you know, their chances of survival just you know, plummet, really. The atmosphere was tense. That's the real sort of high stakes when someone's life's hanging in the balance.
Eventually, the lifeboat arrives on scene. A Coast Guard helicopter has also been scrambled from Lyon Solent, nearly 60 miles away. As the crew approach, they get their first glimpse of the sailing vessel, a 150-foot-long tall ship, the Pelican of London.
She wouldn't generally go to anything like that. With all these sails, how's the helicopter going to deal with it? Yeah, it was going to be an interesting shout.
If an air evacuation is already underway, the lifeboat crew may not need to board the ship. But they're awaiting radio contact with the Coast Guard helicopter to confirm this.
I don't even know what's going on.
Because we ain't got 31 and we don't have 0 either.
Oh my lord, okay. Have you actually seen any sign of casualty?
No, I guess he might be down below.
Yeah.
With the information we've been given about it being a resuscitation, I was expecting to see a lot of activity and expecting to see people, you know, jumping up and down on working on a casualty, but I didn't see that. And we had this sense of, you know, is it too late?
Finally, the crew get the go-ahead from the helicopter to go aboard.
Mayday Rescue 175, Newhaven Lifeboat. Yes, obviously we've got a couple of crew members ready to transfer if needed over.
Should we just bring the oxygen and the PS1?
Alex and Andy get ready for an immediate transfer. With no update on the casualty's condition, speed is of the essence. But manoeuvring the lifeboat safely alongside a 226-ton tall ship is a tall order.
It's a high-risk activity. You're bringing in 2 moving solid objects against one another. There was about 18-metre gap to get a 17-metre boat safely. There's a big risk of causing damage to either vessel, crew members slipping, falling in the water and getting squashed between the 2 boats.
Are we stopping, or are we?
A lot of wood on board, and you're thinking it's only got to be wet, it's going to be slippery. You're not sure how you're going to land and what you're going to land on. In a very split second, you've got to say, am I happy to make that jump?
got you. Where's the stuff? Have you chucked it? Oh God, right.
So when we finally got on board, to our surprise, we were just kind of notified to slow down. All of a sudden, the mood had changed.
Where are we going?
Upstairs here.
Thank you.
Alex went ahead, went up first. I was carrying the kit. But it's already been an hour gone by the time we get there, and you do kind of have in the back of your mind, are we going to be collecting a deceased person?
As we came round to the side of the ship that the casualty was lying on, I looked down, and there was a figure just covered in different coats, just bundled up, and you couldn't really see much of him. I looked up, and the winchman was standing there looking at me, and he just went. I looked down at this bundle of clothes on the deck and saw this sort of face with two eyes looking up, and thought, that's not it's not my definition of what I thought that meant. And what the winchman meant was like, don't worry, it's not a resus.
Yeah, it was. You don't want to say it was a joy, but it was just a real relief that great, fantastic. It's not as bad as you thought.
What's happened today then?
Essentially, Cameron is a 29-year-old known type 1 diabetic.
Yeah.
About 60 to 90 minutes ago, I was awoke by the sound of stridor and grunting, to be honest, and he was having a full body tonic.
The ship's medic, Mark, has been attending to Cameron throughout the night.
He wasn't breathing, with his eyes rolling in his head, all 4 of his limbs shaking quite vigorously. I put in a piece of equipment that kept his airway open whilst applying the oxygen. So my biggest worry was these low oxygen levels. I was concerned about the cause of his seizure, but my job was to keep him alive.
The medic had done a fantastic job. He'd instantly recognised what was going on and treated as much as he could.
Has anything like this happened to you before? No, not really.
Cameron's blood sugar levels have remained stable, so the ship's medic doesn't believe his diabetes is the cause of the seizure. But the concern is, without a full diagnosis soon, Cameron could be in real danger.
My first thoughts about it were there's every chance that, without any more intervention, that he could have had further seizures. The most important thing for that casualty was responding quickly and getting them to hospital.
We're going to go short, move, okay?
But before Cameron can be winched up by the helicopter, he needs to be moved to the stern of the ship, an area clear of the taller masts. The winchman can't risk his line getting caught in any rigging.
Can you help with the high line?
But it happens in a split second. When that winchman makes that decision, he's going. There's no hanging about. It makes you feel good that he's now going to go get the proper medical care that he needs, and quickly as well with a helicopter, because it would have been a lot slower on the lifeboat.
Cameron was flown 20 miles for treatment at Brighton General Hospital. He'd been aboard the tall ship to film its scientific voyage around the UK.
The sea conditions at the beginning were they were lovely. I mean, you could stand out on the deck all day. It was great being out there. We all learned how to climb the masts. It was nice.
But as the conditions took a turn for the worse, Cameron was overcome by a severe bout of seasickness.
There was a lot of up and down. I thought they might actually be fine with it. Turns out not.
Fortunately, medic Mark had kept him under observation.
The last thing I remember from the night is I was feeling some sort of extreme pressure behind my eyes, and I was hallucinating. The first thing I remember from the morning was waking up outside. I actually don't remember a lifeboat crew whatsoever, so this kind of shows some of it, I guess. There was a moment where I understood that a helicopter was coming, just from hearing the helicopter, and it was coming around. I was irritated with everyone. I mean, I was complaining to the people in the helicopter that they should put me back on the ship now. Things like that. It was just the stupidest stuff, honestly. I was then treated at the hospital, and then I fell asleep in the hospital for about another half day. And then when I woke up from that, I would say I was actually back, more back to normal, understood what was going on.
You guys all right? It's a bit of an interesting start to the morning, isn't it?
On the tall ship, the lifeboat crew prepared for transfer back to the 7 class.
One of the very first things that one of the RNLI paramedics did was just grab me on the shoulder and give it a bit of a knowing kind of squeeze and nod to say, yeah, I know that's been tough. This sense of kind of support, I don't think that can be underestimated. And to get that from somebody while you're bouncing around on the back of a ship, trying to get someone evacuated, that takes a lot of skill, and I was really grateful for that.
But yeah, it's an almost sense of well-being for the crew, knowing that it was a good job and the casualty survived.
Take care for the rest of your journey. Thank you. See ya.
It's a shout that I probably won't forget for a while, just because of the nature of the boat that we were going to. Something you see in the movies rather than something that you actually go out to assist.
Oh, there we go. A little bit close.
Yeah, I've never seen one quite like it before, and we won't for a while either.
Mayday, New Haven Lifeboat, Pelican, and yes, I just want to thank you and all your crew for assistance this morning.
Mayday, Pelican London, New Haven Lifeboat, not a problem, sir, that's what we're here for. Safe onward passage, New Haven Lifeboat out.
After that, I looked on Facebook and joined their Facebook page, so I've been following their journey around the coast, and some of their things they've been getting up to. I'm looking at going, be a medic on a tall ship would be quite good.
On the northeast coast of Wales lies the resort town of Rhyl.
Great seaside town, fantastic long sandy beach, got the arcades and the cafes and all that kind of stuff, so yeah, a great seaside resort.
It's lovely in the summer. You've got all the beaches, you've got all the attractions along the prom. You struggle to walk down to try and get an ice cream off one of the stands down here.
Rhyl on a typically summer's day is very sunny, with vast golden beaches, lots of sandbanks and gullies for children and families to play in. Plenty to see and do in and around Rhyl.
Rhyl has been a popular seaside resort since Victorian times, and there's been a lifeboat station here for nearly 170 years. Until 1939, the town was home to the UK's last serving tubular lifeboat. Affectionately known as a banana boat because of its 2 curved hulls, these vessels were famed for their stability in the water. But their design left the crews exposed to the elements, so they were often soaked through just moments after launching. These days, the Sea off Rhyl is guarded by a Shannon-class all-weather lifeboat and a smaller D-class, high-tech vessels designed for all eventualities. A bright but fresh August morning, the Rhyl crew are paged.
I was having a lazy morning and the page sprung to life, so did I.
A dog is reported to be in trouble off the beach. Ryl's D-class is launched immediately.
The initial information was that a dog was swimming out to sea and that there were concerns that the owner was going to go into the water after the dog.
In August, the Sea off Rhyl can be just 15 degrees. But the tide is now coming in, bringing with it cold water from out in the Irish Sea.
When we're responding to this kind of call-out, we always have a worst-case scenario in the back of our mind, and that would be that the owner is in the water as well as the dog.
The RNLI go out to nearly 200 animal-related shouts a year. Around 80% of these are to dogs in the water, and very often their owners too.
9 times out of 10, the dog makes their way back to the beach safely. Unfortunately, the owners don't.
This is Drill LB, launched on service.
If you can call us on 0 when you arrive on scene, please.
The crew rushed to the dog's last reported position, half a mile northeast of the lifeboat station.
Now on scene, over.
Dog is a liver and white spaniel. She is directly in line with the cenotaph.
We'll keep a good obs and do a search half a mile off.
But there's no sign of the dog here.
What's that down the head? Is that those points for the word?
That's a bird. That's a bird. Opposite the cenotaph, they're saying. There's people there.
The initial report was that the dog was a good way off the beach. A good way off could be 500 metres, it could be 800 metres.
At the lifeboat station, the crew are also scanning the water with binoculars.
Real boat house, Real LB, do you have any visual of this casualty over?
Yeah, 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, negative as yet. I'm still looking at it.
Roger.
So we were potentially looking for not just the dog, but potentially for the owner in the water as well.
I can't see anything here. However, I'll have a look to the west as well.
The crew are positioned on the port and starboard side, kneeling as high as they could to get as a higher view as possible.
They can't have got that far because there's not a lot of tide ripping through, is there?
No, it's still flooded.
When we're searching for a smaller object in the water, on a glassy calm day when there are seagulls bobbing about and other marine bird life as well, you need to take your time and make sure that you do conduct a thorough search. The sea plays tricks on your eyes. Anything catches your eye, any little glint of a colour that might not be there usually. But a dog, you can usually see their head and you can see the well-known doggy paddle that they do. You only see a person's head. 90% of the body is underwater, so you can't really see much.
I'm on, try watch, Andy.
After 5 minutes of frantic searching, another update comes in from the Coast Guard.
Well, this is Holyhead Coast Guard. You're heading in the wrong direction. It needs to be the other direction towards the River Clwyd.
Holyhead Coast Guard, Real LB, yeah, that's all copied. We'll head over that way and continue our search, over.
The Coast Guard has clarified that the initial information was confused. The dog is in fact in the water half a mile southeast down the beach.
Maintain course, we have eyes on the dog.
And its owner has been located safely on the shore.
Certainly is a massive relief when you know that you're not dealing with an additional casualty. Further information was relayed to us that there were other members of the public trying to make sure that the owner wouldn't enter the water.
The whole situation was unreal, it was. When you're involved in the middle of something and it's happening to you and your dog, you know, to somebody that you love, it's like time stands still.
A few hours earlier, Terry and his 5-year-old Springer Spaniel Molly had set off on an early morning beach walk.
There was a flock of seagulls and they all rise when they see her because they know her. And one didn't rise because the seagull was injured. I know what she was trying to do. She was trying to rescue it and bring it back because she'd done it before. Molly went for it, and I shouted Molly to come back, and I knew then that I'd have a problem. When she went into deeper water, I did consider taking the splash and going for her. I did.
Why?
She's my baby. Full stop. The only thing I could see after maybe half an hour was she's got a little white flash here, and the waves were only small, but as she was bobbing up and down, I could see a white flash, and I knew she was still alive. But then that white flash disappeared. The general feeling was despair. And these two women came down, you know. One of them said to me, "You're going to have to prepare yourself, you know that." I said, "I know that, I understand that." It was an awful feeling. How do I go home without my dog? I can't. It was like leaving one of my kids there. So I was desperately hoping to see the lifeboat. Then when I did, I was mixed feeling because I was shouting to them, "She's that way, Molly's over there."
Okay, we'll stay on zero so you can on this on.
With the new location confirmed, the crew renew their search for the dog, but they're still looking for a very small object in a large body of water.
Got it! Got it!
Finally, they spot something in the water ahead.
Hello, Benny. Come here.
She was half a mile off the beach.
Come here.
I don't think I've seen one that far out before. We've done quite a few rescues, but not that distance, no.
I don't think the dog realised what kind of trouble she was in. I don't think she realised how far she actually was out to sea.
Hello. Hello.
Although they've successfully located her, the difficulty now is getting Molly on board.
She certainly wasn't interested in us being there. You could see her eyes looking at us but trying to ignore us as best as she could.
I couldn't see what was going on, they were too far out, but the lifeboat was stopped for maybe 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. And I thought, no more dog, that was what I thought.
I wanted to make sure that we approached as slowly as possible, not to scare the dog. This bright orange object with 3 brightly coloured blokes with white helmets were there to help her.
Yeah, come here. Come here.
It took some reassuring calls from the crew to tempt her to come towards us.
What are you doing? I don't know your name.
She was swimming quite calmly next to us and started to come alongside us. And at that time, we knew that she was happy for us to pull her on board the lifeboat.
Come here. Come here. You got her. Come on. Hello. Hollyhead Coast Guard, Reload B, we now have the dog on board.
Oh, ILB, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Hello. We have them visual. Hello. We'll go into the shore now, over.
Colin took the lead with the dog in his happy, jolly voice that Colin has.
Hello. You're a lovely dog, aren't you?
I think that's just Colin's joyous temperament, I guess.
And you had a boat ride as well.
The dog was brilliant, just enjoying a trip out on the lifeboat at the time. A little bit cold, but in otherwise good spirits.
With Molly seemingly unharmed from her sea swim, the lifeboat crew now just need to reunite her with Terry.
Your location, he is a little bit panicked. He's wearing a dark jacket and he's with 2 ladies and a small Jack Russell.
The boat came back so slowly, it was like a funeral cortege. You know, with a coffin in the back, it was so slow. Oh my God. I expected Molly to come back dead.
Just hold on to her collar.
Yeah, I've got her.
But she wasn't dead. She was looking at me as if to say, well, come on then.
A little bit panicked. She's all right, though. She's all right.
And she threw her head down the side of me neck here, and was looking at me like that as if to say, yippee! If somebody had asked me to choose between winning the Grand National on Red Rum or having Molly in my arms, no doubt about that.
Reuniting the dog with the owner was a special moment for the lifeboat crew. Seeing the look on the owner's face, the dog running straight over to him and giving him a big wet hug.
You did exactly the right thing. A lot of people go in the water after the dog.
No, absolutely.
No. Can you take a photograph?
Everyone was safe, back reunited, and it's just one of those nice stories that within quite a short space of time, everything was good and happy.
There you go. What a Sunday morning.
That feeling will stay with me for the rest of my life. It was amazing. I witnessed a story with a beginning, a middle, and a happy ending. There's not many you can say that you get a happy ending because the sea doesn't take any prisoners, does it? But I got a happy ending. I got lucky.
Dear God, what can I say? Enjoy the rest of your day. We're going to get back.
Oh.
See you later. Good job, well done.
After 6 weeks and £30,000 worth of engine repairs, the Catalina seaplane was ready to fly once again.
The aircraft was at Loch Ness for a while. It took them quite a while to raise funds and to get parts and to get engineers and do the repairs.
Every time you drove past the castle and you came back into the village, you could see the plane. You could see its huge wingspan sat on the harbour.
It became a bit of a fixture on the shore of Loch Ness. It attracted quite a lot of visitors.
It was nice that it got to carry on with its voyage, so to speak, but, you know, a little bit sad to see it go. I think the pilot gives a bit of a wing wave on the way out, so that was nice as well.
It took a total of 20 hours of surgery, but doctors did manage to save Rob's foot.
So just where all the swelling is here. Obviously, I feel very lucky after the whole experience to have got away with, you know, I say just a broken leg. But yeah, it is. It could have been a lot worse. When I was kind of lying on the ground waiting for the helicopter, I kind of thought there's no way base jumping is ever worth this amount of pain. It's taught me the invaluable lesson to never get complacent on a base jump, which I should have known already. Everybody tells you never to not be nervous. But yeah, I just needed it. Needed slapping around the face with it. I do want to get back to Beachy Head at some point. I don't want to leave it feeling how I do about it. I want to go back there and enjoy it and love the place again. But it will be difficult, I think.
Wide on the topsail!
3 months after Cameron was airlifted from the Pelican of London, the tall ship is coming up the Thames into central London. But with the full cause of Cameron's seizure still unclear, he's unable to join the crew on board.
I'm still having tests done. They largely expect it to be due to extreme exhaustion. I'm disappointed that I left the ship so early, but it hasn't made me feel differently towards the ocean or ships or anything like that. I'd still love to sail on a tall ship one day.
Go. And Terry is still taking his Springer Spaniel Molly for walks on the beach, but these days with a little more caution.
It took me about 3 weeks to come to terms with how near it was to a miserable accident. And I think it was probably about 10 days that we started going back out again. And I just take my chance with her. And I put her on a lead, but she gets bored. She doesn't run, she's like, go fetch. No, not that one, that one. Anything less than giving the dog a natural environment would be the wrong thing to do, especially with a Springer. She would not be the same dog, she would not. It's bred inside her. That's the way they are.
What's your future plans with you and Molly now?
To keep her alive as long as possible. Molly! No! Watch the seagulls! No! Come on! Little sod!
He was very confused. He looked very tired. We were going to have to get somebody on board.
Because of the compression of the clay around her welly, was kind of locking her foot in the welly.
This is a massive, massive ship being thrown around the sea, and we're in a little lifeboat. We're going to try and tow it.